super user do. Okay, sudo means super user do. So how to allow a user, normal user, to perform administrative actions? So by default, administrators have complete rights, full access on your Linux system, right? So he can perform any action. So he can create, he can modify, he can delete other user accounts, he can modify. So even though root user don't have permissions on any file created by any user, so he can perform any action on files and directories created by other users, because he is the administrator, right? So for normal users, only limited access. They have limited access. So how to allow one user to perform administrative tasks? All administrative tasks or specific administrative tasks? How to allow? To have a concept sudo users. So here configuration file is there. Vi sudo. Execute this command vi sudo. You will get a one page. Okay, so log in with root user account, then open this file and add user information and which user you want to allow to perform administrative tasks. Okay, and have a configuration file /etc/sudo users file. So go to that configuration file, same add. Okay, I'll show you that. Okay. Oh, vi sudo. Sorry, vi sudo, right? vi sudo. See, you will get a sudo users configuration file. Here, add user name and allow which administrative tasks you want to perform that user. So see, sudos allow particular user to run various commands as the root user without needing the root password. For example, so when you install any application, sometimes it will ask the root password. Then only the application will be installed. Then only the service will be restarted without administrative rights. You can't start the service. You can't install the packages. You can't create anything. Administrative rights. So in that situation, we need to provide a root user password, root username and password. Then only you will get administrative rights. Okay. So when you allow a user using sudo users concept, no need to enter a root user password. By his password itself, sudo users configuration file allow that particular user to perform administrative tasks. Which task you allowed for that particular user. Okay, so we can allow specific tasks. So for creating users only. Okay, setting password, for installation packages, installing packages, network related services. So if you want to allow a user to start the network services, okay, so configure the IP address, modify the IP address, like this. All the commands and configuration files are there, right? So if you want to allow that particular user, then he can perform that action. Okay, how to allow? See, sudo users allow particular user to run various commands as the root user without needing the root password. So even though if you allow that particular user to perform administrative tasks, okay, so then that user can perform without administrator password. So sudo user allows that sudo concepts. Okay, see, these are all predefined aliases for all the commands like this. Examples are provided by the bottom of the file for collection of related commands which can then be delegated out to particular user or groups. Delegated means allowed. Okay, see, groups, we can also allow groups, add users into one group. So if you want to allow that particular group users to perform some task, administrative task, we can also allow based on groups or particular username. Okay, see, host aliases. So created host alias, file servers, FS1, FS2, like this, SMTP. So what is this? Protocols. Okay, So see, aliases for admins. So if you want to do that, so these are predefined. So networking based. See, these are all network based commands. Root, ifconfig, ping, DHC client, net, IP tables, RFCOM. So if you want to allow the particular command, so very difficult. You need to write. So when you add that user, so username, so which commands you want to allow to perform, to execute that particular user. So you need to write all these commands. So when you add a user, if you want to allow for networking task, so here created alias name for that all the commands. What is that name? Networking. So instead of specifying this all the commands to allow for a particular user, just use this alias name. Okay, then that user can perform this action. Then normal user can check the routing table. Okay, then normal user can check the IP config. IP addresses, ping, DHC clients. These are all right like this. So installation and management of software. One more aliases created command underscore alias. These are all by default disabled. See, comment. So here comment is there, right? Commented with hash. So here also commented with hash. Okay. So using that we can uncomment that. If you want to enable this aliases, if you want to enable this aliases, uncomment this lines. Uncomment this line. Use that networking alias name for user. If you want to allow user to install packages, so instead of allowing this command to perform, just use this alias name. Instead of specifying this all names, just use this name. For services related alias commands, see, service commands, these are all service commands. So to start the service, to reload the service, to stop the service, check the service status on the service at particular time, at boot time, when power on the system. So if you on any particular service, that service will be started at boot time. If that service is off at boot time, then again you need to start manually after logging into the system. Okay, so these are all service based commands. Services, see, status, check the status, enable, disable service, restart, start. These are all service related commands. So for example, FTP server, web server configuration, right? We need to configure web server on a Linux box. First we need to install the package and then we need to start the service. Some related service belongs to that particular FTP server. So VSFTPD is the service name. How to start that? We have a command, systemctl start space that service name. Okay, so only administrator can do that. He can restart the service, start the service, reload the service. You can check the status of that service. Normal user can perform these kind of actions. So how to allow a normal user to perform is to restart the service, to start the service, to on the service at boot time. Then add these commands. So okay, so instead of adding all these commands, so here created one alias name, predefined name. Just you need to enable this, uncomment this, use this name, add user, specify that alias name. I will show you how to add that. Okay, how to see, updating the locate database file, storages. See, normal user can't create partitions. Okay, normal user can't create partitions because they don't have permissions to execute disk management commands, fdisk. Okay, so if you want to allow normal user, then add this command, fdisk, sfdisk, like this, parted, path2probe, cmount, umount. These are all disk management commands, right? What is mount command? To mount a partition, to unmount point, right? Unmount the partition. Okay, create partitions using fdisk, parted, path2probe. What is path2probe? To update the newly created partition information to kernel. So without rebooting your server, Linux server. That is also a disk management command. See, storage. So if you want to allow these kind of tasks for a particular user, okay, so then, so instead of providing root user administrator credentials for users, instead of sharing the credentials, which credentials? Administrator credentials. Okay, that is very dangerous to share administrator password for users. Okay, so in that situation, if you want to allocate some specific tasks for user 1, user 2, user 3, different tasks for different users, then add that users into this file. Okay, so then no need to share the administrator password, then only that particular user can perform whatever the tasks you assign for that particular user. Okay, so then we can easily identify what they are doing, and okay, so you easily monitor. Okay, so user actions on the system. See, process related, so everything predefined. Yes, you need to understand how to add that information, how to enable, okay, how to allow user. See, here we need to add that information. Allow root to run any commands anywhere. Allow root to run. So by default, root user have complete rights. Root user all means all networks. All networks. Okay. So this is all commands. This is permissions. Okay. Clear? So I'll show you that how to add. See below groups. Group name. This is a group name. How to specify a group name here? Percentile. A group name. You can also create a group, add users into that group. Just add that group name into here. So how to add the percentile? The group name space all equal to. See here, networking. What is networking? Already alias is created, right? So if you enable this, so whoever belongs to this group, users, then they can perform these actions. Networking, software services, storage, delegation, process, okay, like this. Okay, locate driver, these actions he can perform. Okay, see here wheel group is there, allows people in group wheel to run all commands. For this group, particular services allowed. For wheel group, allowed all services, all commands. So if you want to allow a user to perform all tasks, execute, just simply add that user into wheel group. So no need to add again user information, user name all equal to these commands. No need to add, just simply add that user into wheel group. How to add wheel group, user into wheel group? What is the command? So how to add a user into wheel group? Enkoti, what is the command? Anand. So how to add a user into wheel group? For example, user 1. Okay, how to add?
User add.
Okay, how to add? Here wheel group is there. Allowed this wheel group. Sorry, wheel group. Allowed wheel group to execute all commands in your Linux system. All commands means you can perform any task. So now add, how to add user?
User add.
User add to create users.
Okay.
Okay, how to add this user into this group? How to add? User mod or GPASSWD. You have commands, right? User mod. So what is the command? Hyphen capital G. Hyphen capital G. Then group name. What is the group name here? Wheel. Then username. Username. Simple. This is one method. And G password. Use G password. Then add user into that group. How to add that user? Huh? Same. G password hyphen A. Add hyphen A. Then username and group name. Right? Simple. Clear? Right? Much fairer. Okay? So like this. Adding user. That's it. Simple. Now user. What is username? User 1. Now user 1 can execute all the commands. So without entering root password. So how to execute commands after adding into sudo users? So if you allowed sudo users, right, some commands to perform tasks. So how to allow execute that command? So we need to sudo space then command name. The command name. So which command you want to execute? For example, installation yum install some vsftpd, the package name. So when you execute this, it prompts for password. Which password? The user password. So which user? For example, user 1, right? User 1 password. It won't password prompt for root user password. So here you need to specify sudo. Then only sudo configuration file will understand, okay, this user is authorized person to execute this command. So read the configuration file, then it allow. So then it will prompt for a password. Which password? The user password, not root user password. Okay? I'll show you how to add that user. Okay. See, like this. Here groups are also already created, predefined groups. Okay? Or you can also. Okay? So now, so add users. 1 second. Check the user accounts. Tail. So already we discussed, right? Tail command, head command. Tail, head over, right? Tail. User 3 is there. Suresh also is there, right? Okay. Use Suresh user account SWD. vi sudo and search for, how to search for root, /root, right? So alt n. Okay, so alt n just ఏమైంది? So root, I'm searching for root word keyword, right? So cursor move to that particular first occurrence, root. Okay, so when you press alt n, cursor will jump to second occurrence of root. Again, if you press alt n, third occurrence, cursor will be jump. Okay, so now, so here you need to add. So the user, which user you want to allow? Suresh, right? Insert SURESH, Suresh, all equal to, okay, just simply specify user. What is that? Is usr slash sbin slash user add. Here I am allowing to create users. So before going to save, first execute the command. Okay. So log in into the Suresh user account. Sorry, Suresh and try to create a user add user file, for example, created. Why allowed already? Is there any permissions for that particular user? I think, one second. Unless I can user USR has been user add. Yes, already SUID bit is there. SUID bit is already there. So that's why created Suresh user account. So remove that. Switch to CH mode. Don't confuse. Confuse on chance English. So already SUID bit has been set, right? So what is SUID? Set user ID bit. So even though that command is executed by normal user, okay, so that script will be run with which privileges? Owner. Who is owner of that file? Root. Okay, when you set SUID bit on any script file, so that script will be run with the privileges of root user account. Okay, SUID allows to run that command with root privileges. So remove that. So how to remove SUID? chmod, right? U minus s slash usr sbin user add. You need to remove that. So then change permissions also. Okay, so chmod 7 sbin the user add command location, user executable, right? Now execute command once again, log in with this user 6. What it says? Permissions denied. User add permissions denied. Clear? Permissions denied. See, now add here. What is that name? File user add. Save and quit. Okay. Now here exit and login once again. Suresh. User add. So user 5 or 6. So what it says? Permissions denied. Just simply add sudo. What it says now? We trust you have received the usual lecture from the local system administrator. Okay, so password for sudo. So enter. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. User created. User created. So when you allow a user to perform administrative tasks using sudo concept, first we need to specify a sudo command. Sudo. Then the command, which command you want to execute. Okay, so then it will prompt for a password. So we can also perform without prompt for a password. How to perform that? Just simply add no password, I think. Okay, performed, right? Created, right? Successfully user account is created, right? So like this. Now add different commands, specify simply. So like this, vi sudo root altn. See, say here comma. You can add different commands. Here I added only one command, so user add command. So if you want to install RPM packages, what is the location? /bin/RPM. So all the executable files located under /bin and sbin, and some executable files will be located under usr bin, usr sbin. Okay, just check and specify the paths here. Okay, so 1 second. So without password, no password, no PASSWD, no password. Save. Sorry. Without asking password, just simply add the keyword, so prefix. So instead of specifying that, instead of asking the password, so now without asking password, just simply execute the command. Okay, user will be created. So if you allow to install, then they can install. Okay. Okay. అర్థమైంది కదా? ఓకే, సో ఇక్కడ ఏం చేశాను, జస్ట్ సింపుల్ యాడెడ్. సో ఏం యాడ్ చేశాను, no password keyword. So now no password means it won't prompt for password. So if you remove this, it prompt for password, then you need to enter the user password you need to enter. So without asking password, so how to install, how to perform administrative task, whatever the administrative task you allowed to execute that particular user, just simply add that keyword, no PASSWD. Okay, no PASSWD, that's it. Clear? Now add n number of users. Okay, so if you want to allow other user called user1 to perform all administrative tasks, just simply add that user into wheel group. So no need to add ಈಗ మళ్ళీ వచ్చిందా? అయ్యో, అంతే, మనం ఏం చేయలేము కదండి, చావాలని దాచిపెట్టున్నారు ఆ చేతిలో. సో జస్ట్ సింప్లీ యాడ్ హియర్, రైట్? సో you can also add like this. If you want to allow user, for example user1 to perform all equal to, okay, all, that's it. Okay, now allowed user1 to execute all commands. Okay, so instead of adding this line, just simply add that user into wheel group. So what is the wheel group here? Wheel group have complete rights. Execute, to run all the commands. Allow people in group wheel to run all the commands. So instead of adding like this, user allowing all the commands to execute, right? Instead of adding like this, just simply add this user into wheel group. So no need to edit this file also. Just simply add user into that wheel group using usermod or gpassword. That's it. Now that user can perform all the commands, execute. Okay, see like this. So this is sudo users. So how to allow, so how to a user to perform administrative tasks. So see, allow members of the group to shut down the system. So if you want to allow a user to shut down, okay, so then add this user into that group, users group. Okay, allow members, for see, allow members of the users group to mount and unmount the commands. See here, added users and all equal to, specifically specified the commands here. has been mount, this has been unmount. These two are the commands. This what is this name? Device name. What is the device name? CD-ROM device. So if you want to allow a normal user to mount CD-ROM, then add that like this sbin slash mount. So sbin slash mount is the command path. Mount command path. How to identify a path? So if you don't know the path, where the command exactly located, so how to get that information? Binary location of a file. We have a command. Already we discussed it. What is that command? Have you heard which command? Which where is చెప్పుకున్నాం which where is find command అప్పుడు ఉన్నావు find command లేవు కదా ఏమన్నాం which what is which ls it shows the binary location of ls command. Where is what is mean it shows a small description about a command. So what it is ls what is space ls, it shows the information ls list directory contents, small description about that. So if you want to find out the binary location of a file, so just execute the command which see which which ls see usr bin ls, this is the executable file location. Like this we can easily find out, then add this location into that file. Okay, just simply I'll show you netstat. Networking command, network monitoring, ports monitoring. Okay, we'll see in the networking class. Netstat, see like this, any command user add binary location. You know the command name but you don't know the location, so you can find out using which command. Just simply add this path in vi sudo file, username and the binary file location all equal to the binary file location comma another command comma like this. Okay, clear? Ping also a command, see like this. Any command, any binary location. So just execute the command which using which. So if you want to specify, so group add, see it shows both at a time. We can also pass multiple arguments into one command, so it shows both the binary location, ping command and use group add command, right? See sbin, so here ping located in bin, so what is group add? Located under sbin. What is sbin and bin? What is the difference between sbin and bin? Inside bin the executable files can execute both administrator and normal users. So inside sbin executables binary files only administrator can execute, only administrator can run that commands, see you can easily identify, right? So user add also a sbin, secure bin, only administrator can run that command. Clear? So this is sudo users. So how to add? Just go to that file vi sudo. Just remember. So vi sudo. So just first read the file. First you need to understand. So what are the aliases already created? So which alias you want to enable? Which alias you want to add for a particular user? So if you want to allow a particular user to install applications, then software alias, right? So here already added some software aliases, softwares like this. See, RPM command, RPM and M command. These two are to install packages. We'll see next class. So how to install packages, not discussed, right? So how to install. So if you want to allow a normal user, just simply, so instead of adding a bin slash rpm slash usr slash bin slash m, just use this alias name. You can also specify like this, just username equal to, all equal to, username all equal to, what is all network, okay, allowed from, okay. See, from all networks you can perform that action. So see, after equal username equal to all, okay, like this, simply add these names. So instead of adding individual commands path, here created alias names. You can also create alias name. See how to create alias name. Command underscore alias is the parameter. Use this parameter, then specify the alias name, then add the command names, then add. So if you want to allow a user to install packages, to create partitions, then add, create a command underscore alias space, okay. So specify that name, okay. So one name is you need to specify for that alias name, then specify the commands. So bin rpm comma usr bin m comma space slash sbin slash fdisk. Fdisk is the command to create partitions, right? Like that. So instead of then create, then use that alias name for allow user to, okay, like this, all the services, right? First you need to read this file, just simply add that lines, come to here and add here, that's it. Clear? So like we can also create groups, add users into that group, so allow users to perform some, run that commands, okay, like this. See, here also is there, right, parameter. Same thing, without password, no password, right, specified. To execute, when you execute a command, so we need to use sudo. Sudo, then the command name, then only it will prompt for password, and then only the command will run. So otherwise you will get a message, permissions denied, permissions denied. Clear? Got it? Like this. So remove that line inside. Root Alt N to jump. Okay, that line. Leave it that user. And one more configuration file is a slash sudo. .conf. Not this, sudo users, I think. Sudo, see, the same configuration file. So we can also access that sudo configuration file using both. So how to access that? One method is just simply execute vi sudo command. You will get the same configuration file, or vi slash etc slash sudoers, sudoers. Just open that file and edit, modify, add that users or groups, allow to run that commands. Okay, simple, right? So like this, how to allow a user to perform administrative tasks. So using sudo concept. So after adding user information, so how to execute commands? Log into the system user account just to perform that task. So even if you log in with normal user account, okay, so you'll get a prompt like this, right? When you log in with normal user account, sudo user add username. If you allowed to install packages, okay, sudo rpm, okay, so rpm the package name like this, okay. So this is sudo's concept. Just remember, so how to add and how to modify that sudo user file and how to execute commands after adding the information in sudo's file, which users allowed to run the commands, then log in with that user account, then execute commands like this. First you need to specify sudo, then only sudo file will allow that user to run that command. If not specified sudo, it won't allow to run that command. So you will get a message, permissions denied. Permission denied. Clear? See how to access. Now already we learn lot with about user accounts, right? We learn lot about users, how to create users, how to create groups, how to add users into one group. Okay, so how to create user, so with password expiry, account expiry, how to create a user with different directory as a home directory, how to create a user with different shell as a login shell. Okay, so shell types, right? So at the time of creation user administration, okay, so clear? So already we discussed, right, how to create users and how to create groups. So how to access remote system, how to access, so in LAN, so just okay, so have a network, right? So this is switch connected all the systems together, okay, and one router also is there, switch, okay. So node 1 for example, node 2 means host names, node 3, node 4. So what is this? Node means hosts, so guest systems, and this is connected to WAN, right? WAN connection is connected to router, router to sharing internet services to switch to all the systems. Example, this is a network type in our environment. So WAN connectivity. Okay. So for example, this system is there. IP address is like this. Just understand. We'll see what is IP address in a networking class. 2.2. So this system IP address is 3. This is 4. This is 5. This is 6. Example. Okay. So if you want to access this system, all the systems are Linux systems. Okay, so Linux operating system installed systems. So how to access this system from this system? How to take remote access? Okay, so now how to take remote access? Have a command SSH, secure shell, using secure shell protocol, SSH. If you know the IP address of this host, node 4, just simply specify that IP address here using any user account, normal user account or administrator account. Okay, if you want to access, so IP address. So how to access a remote system like this 192.168.2.3, right? So when you hit enter, then it will prompt for password. Which password? Root user password. By default, root user password. Here, are not specified any username as prefix. Just provided IP address. So the host system IP address. From this host, so accessing, taking remote access. Taking remote access node 4. So using SSH command. Then you will get a prompt. Successfully login, right? Like this. If it is a user account, then perform action. So if you want to install a package, if you want to start the service, if you want to monitor, to read the log files, remote system of remote system. So how to take that system remote access? Using SSH command. Using SSH command, access remotely and watch log files perform, like installations, creating users, copying files. You can do anything we can do. Okay, so how to take remote access? Using SSH. So by default this protocol is enabled. By default this protocol is enabled on your Linux system. If that protocol is not enabled, okay, then install the package called OpenSSH. OpenSSH. So then service will be installed automatically. So then we need to start the service SSHD. So we'll see in the servers class. So how to start the service, how to restart the service. So by default the service will be run. Automatic by default service is running. So at the time of installation, right? Still SSHD is the service name. The service will automatically start at boot time. Okay. So just use this command and your remote system host name or IP address, then provide username and password. Then provide username and password. That's it. You'll get access. Okay. If not provided, these are the credentials. Then it refuses to access. So if you provided proper details like username and password, if you provided, entered wrong password, then it will refuse to access. Entered username and password or wrong username and password, it shows a message. Okay, so if you provided correct username and password, then you will get access. So instead of sitting in front of your laptop or in your home or your office or coffee shop, just only you required IP address of that remote system and internet connection on your laptop. That's it. So if you want to access, the server is located under US or UK or any other location in your throughout world. Okay, so then you have to know that IP address. What is the IP address? Public IP address. Public IP address of that system. Public means publicly accessible, not private. Private means that particular within the office only. Okay, right? Public means publicly accessible, allowed that user, that IP address to access from anywhere. Okay, so we'll see in the networking class what is public IP address, what is private IP address. Okay, so if you want to access other location systems not within the office, you know that IP addresses, everything you know. So this system IP address, this system IP address. Just use that IP address, take remote access and install applications on that. And start the service, restart the service, stop the services. Okay, watch the log files. What's going on? The activity. Check the memory status, disk usage status. Just taking remote access. Okay, so antegani system దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి username password enter చేసి no need to do like that. Just simply sit in front of your workstation, just access all the systems using remote connection, that access using SSH protocol. SSH protocol. So in your organization you have 20 servers. So few servers are web servers, few servers are database servers, like that. Different application servers, different servers are running, 20 servers. So if you want to watch something, if you want to install something, perform some task on different systems. So suppose for example, if you want to copy files to your web server, have a 4 servers, right? Okay, so how to copy files? So copy that files into pen drive and take that pen drive and insert into your server, right? No, just simply access. So have a command how to copy files your local system to remote system, even within the LAN. So this is one system, that is laptop, right? So accessing that system from laptop means remote access, taking remote access. Not only outside LAN, within the LAN also. We call it as remote access. So accessing that system from using my laptop. Here installing some tool called Putty. If I know the IP address of that system, just simply I entered on host and then it will prompt for a username and password. Just enter the username and password, then you will get access. So how to copy files? How to copy files from local system to remote? So remote, how to copy files from remote to local? So when copying files, so have a command rsync and scp. Rsync and scp, copying files from local machine to remote machine to local machines. Copying in the sense taking backups. Okay, for local backup, just use cp command. Cp for local backup, internal. Okay, stop copying the original file, source files into backup directory, means making a backup, I mean for future reference. So if something went wrong in your source files, some like accidentally deleted some files, so we can recover that files, can restore that files using that backups already taken, right, from backup files, and from that backup files we can revert that. So for local backups, internal in system itself, within the file system, use cp command. So how to take backups from remote system? We have a command scp and rsync. We'll see rsync later. So what is SCP? Secure copy. Copy and secure copy. So SSH copy, SCP copying files over SSH protocol using this protocol, SSH protocol. So when you copy files from your local machine to remote machine, when copying files from local machine to remote machine, that command will work over SSH protocol. So then the files will be copied in a secure manner, encrypted, not in plain text format, encrypted manner. Okay, so automatically it will encrypt and decrypt. Yes, SSH, secure shell. Yes, how to copy files? I will show you. Just note down. SCP. So syntax, secure copy. SCP options hyphen RV recursively and verbose hyphen RV, copying files, and source path DST path, destination path. So for example, if you want to copy local files to remote, then in source path you need to specify the local files path. So if you want to copy local to remote, right, local to remote, then specify a path scp hyphen rv. What is rv means? Recursively copy files and directories and subdirectories. Okay, so then local path, for example, files copying from opt backup, right, okay, backup. This file you want to copy, files from source path to destination path, then specify remote system. So here remote path, IP address or host name of your system, then colon the path where you want to copy that file in that system, the location. Okay. If not specified any, then task for path. So just simply specify your IP address or a host name colon / then the path where you want to copy OPT. For example, if you specify like this. So when you hit enter, it prompts for password. Which password? The remote system password. Remote system password. So the user account is root default. Task root user password. Then you hit. Okay. So here copying file from local machine to remote machine. What is the remote machine IP address? 192.168.2.2 and copying from that my source file location to inside OPT directory on remote machine. Okay. So when you execute, it counts for password, root user password. So if you want to specify a different username here, for example, Suresh @192. I like this. You can also specify a path. Then it will count for this user account password. Okay. So whatever the username you specified, username @ the host name of your system, then it will count for this user account password. Then path. For example, if you want to copy file from remote to local, then you need to specify the source path first. What is the path? Remote path, right? Remote path 192.168.2.3 colon files OPT some data. If you want to copy that data directly from remote machine to local, first you need to specify a remote machine path, then local machine where you want to copy. So for example, current working directory, just simply specify dot space dot. Then this directory will be copied to your current working directory. Or if you want to copy that files into other directory like OPT or some other backup, then this data directory will be copied to this one. Okay. So when copying files from local to remote, first we need to specify source path, local path, then remote path. Okay. So if you want to copy files from remote machine to local, then first we need to specify remote files path, then local path where you want to copy that file. So here again it will prompt for a password, remote system password. What is that password? Root user by default. So if you specify any username like this, Suresh @, so then it will prompt for this password. Clear? Got it? Like this. So how to copy files from local to remote, remote to local. So how to access your remote system using SSH? Simply SSH. On your Linux terminal, execute this command SSH, the remote system IP address. Okay. From Windows, install Putty tool and enter this name and this host name or IP address on host field, host name field. So you will get a field like, so I will show you that. So this is Windows system, right? Putty. See here, just enter the IP address. 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. If config, what is the IP address? There is no IP address. Yeah, 105 is there, right? Okay, 192.168.56.105. Just use this IP address here. 192.168.56.105. Okay, just open. Count for login as root. Password. That's it. remote access. But my Linux box is running on VMware. Yes, virtual machine, but I'm taking remote access using that particular IP address, my Windows system. Okay, install putty, then enter the host name and it transfers. So if you want to log in with directly the name, specify a name here. You can also specify like this, root @ directly 192.168.56.105. So when you execute this, so directly it counts for password. Directly it counts for password. So like this, you can also specify different usernames if you want to log in with. It counts for Suresh user password. Okay, enter. Like this. Clear? So remote access. So Linux to Linux, just SSH, the IP address of another host system. IP address 192.168.56. The system is 105, right? 106. If you want to access 106 system, just enter. It counts for password, root password. So if not specified, if you specify to Suresh @ then it counts for Suresh user password. Clear? So how to access remote machine? So how to copy file from source to destination? Clear? Like this. Tomorrow I'll show you. Okay. So this is sudo users and remote login and copying files from just introduction. Tomorrow I'll show you how to configure passwordless authentication, remote access. So here we need to enter password for that user account, right? So how to access the remote mission, the remote system without password, So when you access remote system using that host name and username, it counts for password. Okay, how to access that remote system without password, passwordless authentication. We'll see tomorrow. So hello, I'll inform you.
Yes, sir.
So రేపు ఎన్ని గంటల క్లాస్ ఉంటుందని సో వాళ్ళని కూడా జాయిన్ చేయండి. ఓకే ఓకే థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Okay. Right. Good.